is running out.
It's here for beer.
Welcome to Ear for Fear. I'm Rick, and this is the podcast where we talk about scary movies or movies trying to be scary. Today we're going to be chatting about 1960s Psycho, directed by I think it's Sir Alfred Hitchcock, joined today by one of our regular guests, Mr. Morris Hoyleman.
Hello.
How's it going?
Doing good.
Hey, thanks for coming on out. Hey, really fast, we always seem to forget this. Monster Movie Man 13 is Instagram, right?
That is correct.
Any other things you want to plug so people can go and check it out?
Not really. I mean, on YouTube, I haven't updated in a while, but it's the same. Monster Movie Band 13. People can find me there.
Okay, cool. All right. Before you and I dive into this this classic, let's do a real quick synopsis. A secretary steals $40,000 from her employer's client, goes on the run and checks into a remote motel run by a young man under the domination of his mother. All right, man. So Psycho, 1960, black and white, Alfred Hitchcock.
Classic.
This is a classic. So this is interesting. I've seen this, being a horror podcast, I think it would be embarrassing if we hadn't seen Psycho before.
Right.
And I'd seen this several times and I rewatched it again for the podcast because I just wanted it fresh in my head. And this is just, it just goes without saying, but this is a really good movie, man.
It is.
This is, I'm not a fan of black and white. I think this.
I definitely know.
Yeah, I've said this, but other than the fact that it's black and white and it feels a little dated just because it's 1960 and we're going on 60 years ago.
Yeah.
It's still, everything about it holds up. The music is fantastic, which I would argue almost makes this movie.
Oh, it does.
Because Anthony Perkins is great in this. He really, Janet Leigh is good. A few of the other characters or actors are really good, but Anthony Perkins steals the show.
Oh, he does.
And
he's so awkward and in the right way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And awkward is the perfect word, man. But the music just kills this.
Bernard Herrmann's score is probably arguably one of the best scores for not just horror movies, for any movie.
Yeah. I was reading something on this that Alfred Hitchcock loved the music so much that he doubled his salary.
Oh, wow.
That's huge. We're talking 1960.
Right.
And so, we're going to talk about $40,000 and nowadays it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's the equivalent of like $350,000. That's a big chunk of money.
Right.
And so, back in 1960, if you're paying someone, say, $15,000 to do a score for your movie and then you double it, that's a substantial amount of money.
That is.
And he loved it so much that he goes, here, I'm doubling it.
And the funny thing is, I'm going to, I know you've never seen the remake. I've seen the remake a couple times.
The one with Vince Vaughn?
Vince Vaughn and Heche.
I saw once.
Oh, so
one time it was plenty enough for me.
$40,000. I know that you probably looked up inflation. In that movie, which is 1998, I think it came out. Anyway, that's $400,000 in that movie.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Which is funny that the inflation,
Yeah, I was trying to look that up, going like, it doesn't sound like a lot, but in
Yeah.
1960, that's a ton of money.
Oh yeah,
and so yeah, it's just. The music just, it's like we've talked about Jaws. Like if you remove that music from Jaws, it's just probably not scary.
it
doesn't have the same tone.
It's still a good movie. And same thing with Halloween.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Halloween
You
has that.
remove, and I'm a sucker for really good music. Anyone who's listened to the podcast know it's one of my main number one things when it comes to a horror movie. If the music's really good, you could have just an okay movie.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just feel like the music makes the movie better somehow.
It does
you know?
make it better. You can't have a great movie with okay music and the outcome will be good.
Yeah.
But when you have a great movie with outstanding music, it just ups the level. You're absolutely right.
It does. And it's
Yeah.
and over the years it's become so iconic that the music, I mean, oh my gosh, man, it's just fantastic. But I get everything about this. I mean, everything. And again, that's what makes when we sit 60 years later and we talk about a movie and we're still talking about it, it's because it's so good, and over time it's just it holds up, I guess.
Right.
And that's kind of like a few weeks back we did The Exorcist. It's a movie that everyone considers a classic, one of the greatest horror movies ever, but it just stands up, and that's what
Right.
makes that's what makes a really good film. And even if it's not horror, just a film in general,
Right.
Wizard of Oz for me, I've talked about this.
Oh, yeah.
And that was 1939. 30, dude, I mean, how long ago is that?
Forever.
And I still love that movie. It's
Right.
still one of my favorites. But anyways, so let's talk this movie. We decided to do this because the 60th anniversary is coming up.
Right.
And I was like, oh man, we can't miss out on that. So let's do an episode. And normally I don't like to do these classics because I'm sure a million other people have talked about them. And
Yeah.
and here we are, just two regular schmoes. And what are we going to add
I
to
know.
it?
Nothing that we can add other than our love for this movie.
Yeah, that's true. So let's run through the main, I guess the main characters here. We of course we know it's directed by Sir Alfred Hitchcock,
Which he never called this a horror movie. It's a suspense thriller.
Suspense thriller.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I get. You and I chatted about this a week or two ago. I think when we were talking about doing Psycho.
Right.
Everyone thinks that Michael Myers is like the original slasher, but you could argue that Norman Bates was, or you had another opinion on this, that even before Psycho, there was.
Well, earlier in the year of 1960 was an English movie that came out called Peeping Tom. And a lot of people credit Peeping Tom being the first slasher movie, which I guess it could be. I've never personally seen Peeping Tom, which is on my to watch list. But they have POV shots that, are obviously common with a lot of slashers that were in the golden age of the 80s slashers. And also kind of bled into giallos,
Yes.
the POV for a killer. That really originated with Peeping Tom.
Okay.
It came out earlier, and I want to say it came out like March of 1960.
Okay.
I could be wrong on the month, but
so really, we definitely know it's not. Everyone wants to credit John Carpenter and Michael Myers to being the first slasher, but we could argue, like you said, P.B. Tom, or even Norman
Psycho.
Bates. It's like I mean, I don't know if he really follows the true recipe, I think, for a slasher, but. I mean,
there's not a huge body count, but at the same time, all the tropes are there that were established. That a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is boring." Well, it created it, so you have to give it some respect.
You do. You have to with this movie, and it had been a little bit since I'd watched it, and it's like that first 30 minutes is really nothing. It's this
setting it up.
Yeah, it's so really fast. So, okay, Anthony Perkins, Norman Bates, Marion Crane is played by Janet Leigh, which we know is Jamie Lee Curtis's
Mother.
And Lila Crane, played by Vera Miles, Sam Loomis, played by John Gavin. We got a few other characters. Detective Arbor Gast is Martin Balsam. And then later on, we get a sheriff and we get a doctor. But the real main players here, I would say, are the four.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what we the movie starts out in a looks like a hotel room, and you have
but you're booming with that suspenseful music.
Yes.
When it's opening up those credits of animation. With the lines. Which and I think was just for the day, it was very, I don't know if I want to say groundbreaking, but it was very attention grabbing.
Yeah.
Attention grabbing, I want to say. But you're like listening to this music, and I can only imagine what this 1960 audience was thinking when they heard this booming orchestra, with that suspenseful music, dun, 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 and it's like, oh my God, what am I in for? Something really great is going to happen, or something scary, or what is this Psycho? What is that's a crazy title of a movie, and they're sitting in their seats and they're like, what are we going to watch?
Yeah.
And that's, I'm just putting myself in their shoes. And just like, I'm sure you guys were talking about with Exorcist, that 1973 audience seeing that for the first time must have been like horrifying for them.
Oh, absolutely, man.
But similar to that with this movie, and I'm sorry, Ben, I interrupted you on the going into the. At all. But
no,
yeah, just go ahead and set it up for us.
So the movie starts. We have Marion Crane and we have Sam Loomis. They're lovers and they're in a hotel, but I don't get the impression that either of them are with someone. We know Sam is divorced and
he's paying alimony.
Marion appears to be single. But they're very secretive about this relationship.
Yeah, he's obviously in town and they don't meet at her place wherever she lives. And but they're just meeting in a hotel.
Why do you think so secretive?
Maybe it's the time. Maybe it was looked at as looked down on, like, okay, well, they're not married, so maybe they need to be secret about it.
Small town, small town. She's very professional. She looks like, I don't know if it's really a real estate company. Kind of got that impression. Yeah. But something along those lines for 1960.
Yeah.
But they definitely love each other, and it's like it's tough for them because he's in debt, and and so it's like, oh God, and she gets back to the office. And this is, I never caught this, Alfred Hitchcock chilling out there in the front.
Oh,
his cameo was in the front. He was standing right out in the front of the building
of when she is walking into her.
Correct. Yeah. And I'm like, that's Hitchcock. And I guess he does cameos in his movies, but he wanted to do this one really quick so that it would get out of the way because people knew that he did that, and they didn't. He wanted it distracting from the actual movie. Yeah. So it's like, let's get it out of the way now.
That's funny that you mentioned that, and this is related but totally unrelated. So in Taxi Driver, Martin Scorsese did a similar cameo where he's outside of the campaign building.
Okay.
When Sybil Shepherd's walking in. Okay. He's just chilling on the outside.
Oh, really?
And from an interview, he wanted to do a similar thing as Alfred Hitchcock did.
That's funny.
But he is in the movie later on as well. He's in the back seat of the cab. So I think he's supposed to be a different character when he's in the back seat.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's a whole other podcast.
A lot of these directors do that.
Yeah.
Like we were, Donovan and I did Slither, and James Gunn had a cameo in that where I think he was like a teacher, and he was talking to Elizabeth Banks' character. And it's, it's funny. It's like, I mean, and we know a lot of these directors. Quentin has done this. M. Night Shyamalan, all of them, and Stephen King and all these people. I mean, Stephen King more of the writer than the director, but yeah, I just think it's, I think it's kind of humorous.
It is,
but I like little things like that. And it's so long since I'd seen it, and so when I sit down to do this, and I'm really analyzing the movie, I like catching little things like that. Oh, there's Hitchcock.
I wonder if Hitchcock is the director that started the little cameo. I wonder if because I've never really looked into it, but I wonder if any other director before him has ever done cameos in their own movies.
I wonder. Yeah.
Because he's the only one that I've known since then. And then probably other people have followed suit because of him.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. But let's see. So we're at the office. And I don't recall her boss's name. I do know that her coworker, that's Hitchcock's daughter.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Her last name was Hitchcock. I'm going to assume that's his daughter.
Oh, okay.
She was younger. I don't remember her character's name, but when I was looking up credits, it said Hitchcock. So
interesting.
He's like, oh, Dad, can I please be in a movie? Yeah, here you go. So, but a client rolls in. You can tell he's wealthy. He's very
Cowboy hat.
Cowboy hat. He's very vocal about it. I think his daughter is
getting married.
Yeah. And so he's going to buy her some property, and here's $40,000.
Was it property with a house, or was it just property?
I don't recall.
I don't recall either.
And I just watched it this morning, and I don't remember. But he was seemed like he was a little maybe drunk. The way he was interacting with Marion, he very flirtatious with her, but bragging that he has money. Here's $40,000.
And was the $40,000 a down payment, or was that the full amount?
No, I think it was the full amount.
The full amount,
which makes sense because in 1960,
that's probably a substantial amount of money.
Again, the equivalent is say $350,000.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays it's hard to buy a house for $350,000, which is just ridiculous. But if you think about it, I'm buying my wife or my daughter a house for less, for a wedding present. Here's $40,000.
Right.
It's a Friday. Marion's gonna go. She's got a headache. She's gonna cut out early. She tells her boss, "I'm gonna go deposit this in the bank or in the safe deposit and go home," and she doesn't.
Yeah.
And we see her at home in her little tiny apartment or whatever this is.
Packing a suitcase.
She's packing a suitcase, and we see that money. It's laying on the bed, and she's struggling with this, man, because you can tell she's a good person.
She is a good person.
But she also wants to be with Sam.
And that she knows that he has money issues.
Yeah. So it's like, nowadays you can't do that.
No.
Dude, with social media and everything.
Oh, with cameras everywhere.
You couldn't. I'm not going to.
You couldn't disappear.
You can't. It's impossible. But in 1960,
you could.
You could, right?
Yeah, you probably could.
So she struggles with this, but she does it.
Yeah.
And she hops in her car, and she's going to head. She's in Phoenix, Arizona. We know Sam is somewhere in California.
Is he?
I think he's in California, man, because the sign said Los Angeles.
Okay.
And it seemed like she was not far from where he was. And I think it was California.
Okay.
But dude, I have to bring this up, this scene. She stops at the stoplight, and she's parked there. And then her boss walks past
with the
client.
The client. And then he notices her like, wait a minute, it was hours ago, and I thought you were home resting.
Yeah, you had a headache.
Yeah, he had that face like, what the hell are you doing?
What did that remind you of?
Oh, of Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, totally.
Well, that's where he got that from.
He did? Okay.
Yeah.
See, I didn't do research on that, but I'm like, he had to have got that from.
Absolutely.
Okay. Because it's not exact, but it's really close.
Yeah, it's Marcellus Wallace and
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
Yeah. And we know that Quentin likes to borrow stuff, or I'm not going to say steal, but he likes to, because
he does homages.
Yes, because he is very much a the film is such an artwork for him. He's so knowledgeable, and he knows so much that.
He crafts his own movies, borrowing stuff that really influenced him.
Yes. And he's perfected his craft, as we've talked about many times. Yeah. He's a phenomenal filmmaker. And so, totally. And again, one of those things I had never caught before, rewatching it, going, oh my God, But what I loved about this is she's driving off, and we hear, the voices from her boss and the other coworker and her sister and all these
with that
things.
wonderful score too.
Yes, all these things that are probably happening, and it's happening in her head. And I love this, man. It's
because she's struggling still. She hasn't left town. She's still struggling with it. She's like, you're in being inside that character. She's going, am I making the right decision? I'm doing something so damn impulsive, but am I making the right decision? And illegal.
Very illegal. Very illegal.
Embezzlement.
But as she's driving off, and you saw the smirk on her face.
Yeah.
She's got that smirk
because
like
it was she's like, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like this kind of like fear and this scared look. And then all of a sudden it became as
she drove out of town.
Yeah. But a little kind of creepy smile.
Well, kind of gleeful. I'm doing this.
And so, but she's tired.
Yeah.
And she's been driving, and I've never done Arizona to California. So I don't know from Phoenix to say Los Angeles looks like. I'm sure she's exhausted. She
Phoenix to Los Angeles, you're looking at about 6-hour drive.
Okay, so that's not
six and a half hours.
So that's not terrible.
Yeah.
But I mean, she did start the drive late.
Yeah.
And we know it's late at night.
Yeah.
And so she crashes on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Because she's tired.
Or
and
she pulls over to the side of the road.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crashing in the sense of when I go to sleep, I'm going to go crash because I'm tired. Yeah.
Right.
She physically doesn't crash into something.
But we find her waking up the next morning with police knocking on her window.
Yes.
A policeman.
Yeah. And you know, she's acting a little sketchy, so that concerns him.
And little tidbit about Hitchcock, he did not trust law enforcement. So he has him with the aviators on.
Yeah.
And he's got that stern authoritarian kind of feel about him.
Very much, yeah.
And that's how Hitchcock felt. He felt like, you know, they were just, you know, just
really?
Yeah.
Did he have a run-in with the?
I don't know the whole story, but I just know that he has like a fear of law enforcement.
Okay.
Or you know, he thinks that that's so the way he has them in his movie is the way of how he feels about them.
Oh, because the way he portrays them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that guy was very stern.
Yeah.
No smile, no friendliness at all. You know, very, very strict and to the point. And she wasn't having any of it.
No.
And
she was like, I'm ready to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, I think the combination of her wonderment of, you know, does this guy trust me? You know, and along with, you know, why is he acting the way he's acting? And then she's ready to drive off, but she notices that he's following her.
Yeah. Yes, he follows her for quite a while.
Then he turns off.
And
did you know the way that car turned off, the way he turned off?
Yeah.
That was so many filmmakers freaking borrow from Hitchcock. So in Jeepers Creepers. So remember when they passed the RV?
Yes.
And then down the road you see them driving, and then the RV kind of just pulls off, and then the creeper van's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very Hitchcock.
I could see that because I know I've seen this in other movies. I can't think of any, but that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so many people borrow from Hitchcock.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean.
Yeah, he was one of the greats.
Yeah. So, but she's still freaked out. So she rolls up into some sort of city, and she wants to ditch the car.
Yeah, used car lot.
Look, I got $40,000. I got tons of money. Especially in 1960.
And she could buy a car brand new if she wanted to for probably like $2,000.
Yeah. And so she ends up at a used car lot, and
wants to trade her car in.
Yeah. And of course, again, she's acting a little sketchy.
She is acting sketchy.
She doesn't want to drive the car.
And then we notice that the police pulls up across the street and gets out of his car and kind of crosses his arms like watching her.
Just standing there watching her. Yeah. And you know, the car salesman, of course, catches on to this. I don't want to drive it. You know, let's just do this thing.
Yeah.
You know, and so
so they check out her car that she has, and
we'll get we'll take your car, $700, and you're good.
Yeah.
And so, you know, she's trying to hurry this along, and as she finishes the deal and she's going to drive off, and the cop pulls in.
Mm-hmm.
And she's trying to get the hell out of there.
And she's pulling out.
And she almost forgot her suitcase and stuff. Yeah. And so, she's off. And that was really the end of them. It's like, okay, well, we have all these concerns, but then you don't go follow her?
Yeah.
That's what I understand. You followed her enough to get to the used car
I think
lot.
it was her paranoia. And then Hitchcock was done with the paranoia of her
just
being...
the build-up
of that. It's like, okay, we're on to the next part of our story.
Okay.
So... the car that she buys is a Ford Fairlane.
Yes.
And that comes into play with some other movies.
Yeah.
So, with H2O, Halloween 20 years later, which is essentially, it's like Halloween 7. I guess Jamie Lee Curtis's character has a secretary who is her mom. Her mom plays her secretary.
Yeah.
Well, she's driving off. She goes, "Well, happy Halloween," and she
tries off with the-
she gets into that very same
Janet Leigh.
Janet
does.
Leigh
Yeah.
gets
Yeah.
into that very same color and everything. Apparently, it was black
Was
and white.
H2O the one with Busta Rhymes?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh no! That was with LL Cool J.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which one am I thinking of?
You're
with
thinking
Busta?
of Resurrection.
Oh, God.
And that's part 8.
I'm sorry.
We saw H2O together.
I'm sure we
Yeah.
did. I think I saw all of those one time, and
Yeah.
it was fine for me. Like, I don't know. We don't need to talk about the
No.
whole Halloween franchise, but over the years, it's kind of just started to kind of sour my outlook on, or my opinion on the whole franchise of Halloween. Doesn't mean there's not some good films in there, but that's another episode.
That's
we could
another
do.
day. Yeah.
So she's driving off in her new used car. Starts to pour. She can't see shit.
Yeah.
So she pulls up into
The first.
yeah,
Yeah.
which we got the Bates Motel.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
there's a vacancy.
Yeah.
Lots of
What
vacancies.
is it? 12 cabins, 12 vacancies,
Yeah.
or something like that. 12, I forget how he says it. So
She
you know,
pulls in.
She does see a figure up in the
window.
up in the window, and it looks like a woman.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then you see him running down from the house
Yeah.
at the top of the hill down to the courtyard of the hotel, the motels.
And I don't know how old Anthony Perkins was at the time. He looked super young, very good looking guy.
Yeah. He had to have been maybe
In 20s somewhere?
20s, maybe
20s?
mid 20s.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely looks young. He's a good looking guy. He seems very intelligent, but of course, like you said, awkward.
Yeah.
And when he gets around a pretty woman,
Oh yeah.
he's
Stumbling around.
He's stumbling around.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's a little bit charming in a sense. He's quick to, hey, I can, would you eat dinner with me?
Yeah.
And she was very receptive to that. Of course, we get, again, we forgot spoiler alert.
Oh yeah.
Because
spoiler alert, everybody.
dude, and if you haven't seen Psycho, I
Yeah.
don't know what you're doing here, but that's okay.
I'm sure a lot of our younger listeners probably haven't experienced it.
True.
but-
And for all we know, they thought they saw the original and they watched the Vince Vaughn piece of crap.
Yeah,
I don't know. We're going to spoil this movie. You get an argument with Norman and his mother.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spoil it now. Do we spoil it now? Just in the context.
Let's hold on.
Let's hold off a little bit.
So when she does pull in there, she does sign the book, but she doesn't sign her name, which is Marion Crane. She signs Marie Samuels.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like a hybrid of her boyfriend's name, Sam Loomis.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Now, am I wrong on this? I didn't look this up.
Mhm.
I mean, we know in Halloween, of course, in 1978,
Yeah.
John Carpenter, we got Dr. Loomis. What was Dr. Loomis's?
Samuel Loomis.
Samuel Loomis.
So,
See,
yeah,
I thought
it's
so.
so-
I didn't look it up, but I thought it was
Oh,
the same.
absolutely. So yeah, it's a homage again.
Yeah.
To
Yeah. So again, this is where I was talking about earlier, where we could almost argue, we throw out Peeping Tom, and we say Anthony Perkins
yeah.
is the original slasher, and then you got all of these other directors and movies that are borrowing and paying respect to, so. But anyways, she signs Marie Samuels, and we hear that we got that argument, and of course he comes down with the plate because
Sandwiches.
Mother doesn't
milk.
want this woman in the house.
So yeah, he's gonna eat sandwiches with her in the parlor.
The parlor, but he doesn't eat it all because he's not hungry.
Right.
So she's probably starving. She's been driving, and he had sandwiches, and I don't know what else there was.
Milk
Milk or something. I swore she had she had forked something.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe whipped up some potato salad. Or something.
Yeah, I was thinking potato
I don't
salad.
know. But anyways, they have some some banter back and forth, but as things are. As she almost starts to imply, because she heard the argument.
She heard the argument, and then he starts talking about his mother in the sense that, I would, but I got to take care of my mother.
My dad passed away She had a lover. He also passed away.
Yeah.
Do you start thinking, what happened there?
Yeah. Dad's
Norman,
gone.
Yeah.
The lover's gone.
Did Norman have something to do with that?
Yeah.
You're starting to think that.
And then she's like, well, I just want to, maybe for you to go out in the world and, maybe put your mom in a home.
Yeah.
And then
that. Yeah.
Snap.
Yeah.
He's like, I would never do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a quick change.
Oh, he way changed.
Yeah. Because, and again, I don't want to spoil it too early. So I'm going to try to start. We'll leave the other stuff until a little bit later, but we start, he starts making comments, boy's best friend is his mother. And, my mother, the argument that Marion overheard, my mother's not quite herself today.
Yeah.
I love these little things that Hitchcock is doing, here. And if you were in 1960, you and I have seen a million of these things. We could start putting two and two together. But in 1960, you're like, oh, what's
going on?
Yeah. What's happening here? So she starts, again, it's this dialogue, this back and forth. And again, you start seeing him kind of flip a little bit. Different side of him. And she's going to call it early because she's tired.
She notices he's agitated.
Yeah.
And she kind of maybe is so tired. She doesn't want to deal with it. So she's like, hey, I'm going to call it early. It's thinking.
And he's like, you sure?
Yeah. And she's probably thinking, I don't want to fucking deal with you anymore. You're kind of.
I'm sorry. I won't say psycho. But
you're, I'm just too tired to deal with this, probably this is attitude,
Yeah.
So she's like, doesn't have anything to do with me. I'm just going to have a nice sleep.
Yeah.
Get on the road in the morning.
But she had a change of heart during this conversation. This is what was interesting. There was enough again of the conversation, and the banter back and forth for her to have second thoughts about what she just did, which was steal $40,000.
Oh yeah. She was going to go back.
She was going to go back in the morning. She was going to wake up at dawn. She was going to drive back, explain everything, and hopefully they would forgive her, whatever. And so, but during it was towards the end of the conversation, she had said Marion Crane. Well, he knew that she had signed with a different name.
Yeah, Murray Samuels.
So he's checking all these different, these different things. Did you catch? I found this interesting, and we'll get to it in a little bit. But he does the taxidermy.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them were birds. I don't know if all of them were birds. I didn't catch that. Were most of them or all of them birds?
Most of them were birds. I want to say there was a lynx or something.
Was there? All I remember seeing was birds.
Yeah.
But Marion Crane? I mean, never caught that before.
That's right.
Never caught that before because in a sense, this taxidermy for him, it's supposed to be a hobby, but he makes a comment, a hobby is only supposed to take up a little bit of your time, but he's consumed by taxidermy because he's got nothing else going on.
Yeah, there's nobody, because they opened up the new highway. Nobody no driving traffic comes towards his motel anymore.
Yeah.
So it's kind of taking his business away.
And he's got all the time in the world, and so he does this. And so I guess the point I'm trying to make is he looks at birds as just they're nothing to him.
Yeah. They're not an identity.
Yeah, and I think Marion became that
an identity, and then once he learned that she kind of irritated him, she quickly
she was easily disposable,
right?
Like these birds that he uses, he stuffs. And then the whole Marion Crane thing, I don't know if that was.
See, you're doing some Mindhunter shit right now.
That's funny. That's funny.
But it's true. I mean, when you watch enough of this stuff, you kind of piece it together of how they laid it all out. Yeah. But it's true.
And so, I don't remember when we get the little peeky thing. He's got the creepy, creepy hole in the wall that he.
So, he ends up giving her cabin number 1.
Yes, which is right next to the office.
And he decides to give her cabin number 1 because I think at that point, he also, being disposable, he wanted to peep on her. Yeah. Because he respected her enough probably not to do something like that. But since there's a hole underneath the picture in the parlor, he decided that, he's going to. So he sees her, undressing, and then she gets into the shower, and then you see him have a moment of like He's kind of like looking back and looking around, and then he decides to leave, and then he kind of like just his body movements going back up to the house were interesting, huh?
It was. I noticed that
almost like a shuffle.
Yeah, the walk.
The walk was like a shuffle. He put his hands in his pocket.
So this is interesting, man, and I'm glad you brought this up because he's a young man, full of energy,
right?
And when he was going up those stairs, he walked like an old woman. Yeah, and I never again caught it before, dude.
Right.
And these are those subtle things that when you're rewatching things, you catch. And I think that's when mother took over.
Yeah.
And
because as soon as he got in the house, big spoiler.
It is. We're going to have to spoil this because it's hard to talk about this and not give it away.
So but the framing doesn't show anything other than she's taking a shower. So now we see him go up to the house. Now the framing is that it's just Marion in the shower.
Yes.
And you hear the water. There's no music. It's just water and Marion showering herself. And apparently she was naked in these scenes, but they framed it to where, they would show no nudity.
No. Yeah.
Of course, the small crew that were in there got glimpses of, naked Janet Leigh's body.
Okay. Yeah.
And I guess there's a documentary about the whole shower scene in its entirety on that you can find out there. And my God, it's very lengthy and very long, probably a little bit more than you want to know about one particular scene.
Yeah.
But it was filmed, I want to say it was filmed in days. And literally we get seconds of framing,
Not much.
So she's showering, and then they show the curtain. And then you see behind the curtain a figure approaching the shower.
Looks like an old woman.
Yeah, no, it actually
looks like more like a woman because it looks like there's long hair and a dress.
Well, no, it's not a long hair. It's it looks like but it kind of creeped me out because I remember in my own head like seeing just a figure where you can't make out if it's a man or a woman. It's approaching, and the closer it got. No, this is someone that has their hair up in a bun in an old dress, but then you see, but the way that they framed it, you can't see any features in the face. It's like it's like a bun, dress, hand up in the air, and the butcher knife,
and the iconic music.
Yeah, and
this is one of
those violins shrieking.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's one, I don't know what more iconic. We could argue there's certain scenes in, say, The Shining or Exorcist or Halloween that are iconic. But, man, this is, I don't know if there's one more iconic scene, not just horror, but just in history of filmmaking. It's so...
This is one of the most iconic scenes of film. I would say definitely top 10. And
I don't know in 1960, what sort of other movies are out there and scary, violent, like this, is this in 1960, is this just completely over the top? And does this discourage people from seeing it? I don't know. In 1960, maybe. It's a very powerful scene. It's interesting though. Did you see blood?
So this is it.
So tell me,
So in that scene that took so long to film, not once do we see the knife enter skin.
No.
It's implied.
Yeah.
And she is naked, by the way, because they filmed it from above, and then they filmed it from seconds of hands, and then you see torso and legs and stuff.
Yeah.
But then they used chocolate syrup, like we were talking about, because they had the right consistency to go down the drain, and to be in the shower, because this is in black and white. Chocolate syrup, Hershey's chocolate syrup, or was it? Yeah, I think it was Hershey's, which was sold in a can at the time.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And you had to pop it like.
Oh my gosh, I remember.
Yeah,
those.
with the bottle opener.
Oh my God, yeah.
But not once is the knife entering skin, and were just frames of, intense music, her
Yeah.
screaming,
Yeah.
and then you don't hear her screaming anymore. And then they focus in on the drain,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then she falls
Kind of like halfway out of the tub.
out of the tub,
Yeah.
pulls the curtain down, as she's falling, and then you get dead eye.
Dead eye. And I noticed there was a little bit of movement in the eye.
Oh, of course.
But I mean, it's 1960.
Yeah.
And but it still worked. It was fine.
Yeah.
It's just, I noticed the white tiles, and I mean, there'd be so much blood.
Oh, yeah.
In a film these days, if that happened,
Yeah.
it would be everywhere.
Blood would be everywhere.
Everywhere.
It would be squirting on the walls.
I didn't, it's not that I had a problem with it. I understand the time and maybe the limitations and certain ratings and stuff you could do and cannot do. But I don't know. I think I would have wanted to see a little more just to convey the brutality of what just happened with
Oh, that's
this
true.
woman.
Oh, and
I don't know.
I would do want to add when Mother was done, they did focus on her feet as she's leaving the motel room, and you could tell it's women. It looks like women's feet with a woman's dress.
Okay.
Yeah. And you didn't get that coming in because obviously we were taken by the figure coming closer and closer, which it's like, oh my God, what's going on? She better turn around. She better turn around. Because they get you that way. But then, the mother's feet walk off rather quickly. And then we hear, oh God.
Yeah.
Mother.
Well, yeah.
Blood. Mother, blood. Oh God, what have you done?
Yeah. Yeah. And now he has to clean up the mess.
Yeah.
At least that's what we're thinking.
Yeah.
That's what we're thinking.
So mother does the killing.
Mother does the killing.
And
now he has
Norman
to
has to clean up for Mother and keep Mother safe.
Yeah. Because, he loves his mother.
So he came
wants
in
to
there.
look out for his mother.
He saw she had wrapped up the $40,000 in a current issue or a current newspaper.
Yeah. Yeah. Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And they said Los Angeles.
And then she was also, trying to find out. She wrote some math of how much money she had spent from the 40,000.
Well, I mean,
and then she threw it in the toilet.
She did. She ripped it up into pieces and threw it in the toilet. To me, I thought this was kind of funny. What did you spend other than the $700? I mean,
maybe some food.
Okay. I guess. I mean,
maybe.
I don't know. To me, the math seems simple. 40,000 minus 700 for the car.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I mean, I guess gas. He didn't collect any money for the room.
Yeah.
Not that I saw. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
And you kind of had a feeling that would come into play later on in the movie, which it does.
Yeah.
But he's, he wraps her up in the shower curtain, throws her in the car,
and throws the newspaper in the back of the car.
Yeah, the 40. Well, it's not 40,000 quite, but it's close.
Yeah,
really every anything that had to do with her, any proof, any remnants of her being there, he put in the car to dispose of, and he just tossed her. Dude, this was supposed to be water, and again, probably because it's black and white, it looked like mud or something. It was just
it was a murky swamp.
Okay, okay, because I mean, water, it has a certain consistency, or and dude, it just felt like almost like a swamp.
Well, it was the same area that was filmed in Psycho 2, so you get to see a better.
Oh God, I haven't saw Psycho 2 in forever. But yeah, he dumps the car in and it's slowly going down, and he's excited. Yeah, and then it stops, and it's just like this.
And then he has this puzzling
panic
look. Oh, and he's eating pistachios at the same.
He is.
Yeah. Or
I thought he did that later on, but
no, he's eating them and crunching them, and then it's the car stops like it didn't go all the way down, and he has this worried look on his face, and then it starts to bubble, and then it starts to fall, like, oh, okay. And then he has this gleeful look on his face, gleeful, like you shouldn't be gleeful if you are, what did they say in 7? You shouldn't, if you're doing like the Lord's work or somebody else's work.
Oh.
If you're doing someone else's work, you shouldn't find glee out of it because it's work.
Yes, in the car scene with Kevin Spacey and them when they're driving off,
and then he's like, "Oh, you have this anticipation." He's like, he's like, "I'm doing the Lord's work, but if you're doing the Lord's work, why are you
Yeah.
Why
So
you
excited.
so excited?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you could see that with Norman's face being he smiles. He has a gleeful
Yeah.
kind of mischievous smile.
Well,
Like,
you're right, because I mean, if Mother really did this,
yeah,
I mean, he's scared and he's all these different emotions. That
well, what we
that
find out,
smile
and like
yeah.
we're spoiling, is Mother's slowly taking over Norman.
Yes, very much so.
I think there's cracks in Norman, and when Norman's being Norman, there's cracks of Mother coming through.
Oh yes.
So that gleeful smile wasn't Norman, that was Mother.
That was Mother.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. It's Mother. But
I love talking about this.
Yeah. Rewatching it again and really focusing on the and we'll get to it later, but the speech at the very end with the doctor, just really just sitting there and listening to him and everything that he's gathered from his interview towards the end with Norman or the Mother. I just loved it. But anyway, so Lila, which is Marion's sister, is worried about her. She's now been gone a bit.
Yeah.
She stole $40,000. She shows up to Sam Loomis's shop.
Oh,
This
yeah.
looks like a hardware store. Does he own this? I don't know. I don't know if it's relevant.
I want to say he does own it.
Seemed like he was the boss.
But I think I want to say at the same time, he's just being kept afloat because probably he's paying alimony. He's got all these bills. So that's why he's really struggling with money, because he has this business that is just staying afloat.
Yes, that's the impression I got as well. And I think he even said something about his father left him in debt.
Yeah.
And so maybe it was his father's hardware store.
And he inherited it.
Yeah. And now it's like, oh, God, I'm stuck,
Yeah, he's stuck in this way that, it's like, might as well sell the store and make some other kind of living.
Sure.
But yeah, Lila was contacted by Marion's employer because they were looking for her.
Yeah.
And now she's like, oh, my God, my sister, where is she?
Yeah, where is she? Yeah. And so she goes to Sam's.
And she thought that she was hooking up with Sam, and Sam's like, I haven't seen her.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like,
and now he's now worried. And then we get introduced to Detective Arbor Gast.
Yeah.
Because he's been following Lila the whole time.
I think they just call him Mr. Arbor Gast.
Yeah, probably. Mr.
Yeah, because all he is he's a private investigator.
So what's funny is they. I don't know. This is probably just a miscue on IMDb, but they say detective. I think they go DET. He is just a PI.
Yeah, he is a PI.
Because he was hired by the employer and he's following her around.
Yeah, he's following her.
She didn't know this, of course. And now he confronts them thinking, okay, well, you guys know something.
Yeah. He's actually followed from where she
and is she in
sold
Phoenix?
the car.
Is she in Phoenix, Arizona too?
Lila? You know what? I never knew where Lila was from. I want to say she was.
I don't remember where she was from. I know they mentioned Phoenix, Arizona, but I don't know if maybe
they mentioned it because that's where Marion was coming from. I don't think it's ever mentioned.
Not really relevant, but we know that she's made it to the hardware store or to his store.
Yeah.
Arbor Gast, confronts them. Now, I think you get the impression
neither one trusts the other.
Yeah.
For the first, Lila
at first
sure. At first with Lila and Sam, I don't think either one of them trusted each other. And then I think Arbor Gast at first didn't trust either one of them. So there's a lot of mistrust. There's a mistrust triangle going on.
But it didn't seem like it lasted too long.
It didn't. But at first initial, there was they're like, okay,
totally.
It's like, guys, where's Marion? It's like,
it's a lot of money.
So somebody's hiding Marion.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, that is a total normal response from a PI.
Yeah.
That has been hired to track down missing $40,000.
Oh, yeah.
And so Arbor Gast starts, look, I know she's in town. I know she's here somewhere. So I'm going to, so he hits every hotel, motel in this town or wherever they're at.
Yeah.
Comes up short until he gets to the Bates Motel.
Yeah.
And starts questioning Norman, and Norman starts to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And he knows. I mean, if you're a PI and this guy's older, dude, this isn't your first rodeo. You're pretty good at this shit.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember some of their dialogue back and forth, but it's great dialogue, but I'm missing it.
He said something like in one part, he goes, yeah, I haven't had guests in a week, but then Norman says, well, a week ago I did this, and then he's just none of it adds up. And
Right.
so he starts pushing him some more. And then Norman, of course, oh yeah, I remember her.
Yeah.
And starts, telling him stuff. Something about, I think he said something about mother.
Yeah.
He
Well,
says,
he said, well, if she, maybe she could fool me, but she'd never fool my mother.
yes, like my mother isn't, what did he say? Something about, oh my God, I can't, she fooled me, but she didn't fool my mother.
Yeah.
I think that's what he says.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, so you talked to your mother? And he's like, no, can I talk to your mother? She's a very sickly old woman. You don't want to. Yeah. Well, I just saw someone up at the window.
Yeah.
I can go just, and he's like, Mr. Arbor Gast, I think it's time for you to leave.
Yeah.
And then even Arbor Gast is like, wow, $40,000 is a lot of money, for a struggling motel that's not doing well. It's, probably good money to get a new start somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's really pushing him, really pushing him to.
Oh, he is.
Yeah. To try to break.
And doesn't Norman say something about you can come with me because I got to change the linens? And
oh yeah,
he goes to cabin 1 and he can't open the door.
Oh yeah, he goes to cabin 1 and then he's like,
can't do it.
And then he goes to the next
but
ones.
it wasn't that he didn't want Arbor Gast to go in there.
Yeah.
What I got was that he was ashamed of what happened, or
that's true.
and Arbor Gast caught onto that.
Yeah.
I mean, he knew. And so he knew it was cabin 1. He knew he had to question the mother. And so he ends up leaving. He makes a phone call to Lila. And hey, look, I believe she was definitely there. This is what I found out. I got to go talk with the mom. I'm going to go, all these things.
Yeah.
And so he goes back to the Bates Motel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, Norman sees him pulling up. And so he kind of goes and disappears.
Mm-hmm.
And so now Arbor Gast starts, poking around.
Yeah.
And he finds his way up into the house.
Yeah. He's walking up the steps to the house kind of slowly.
Yeah.
Gets to the front door, looking around, like the entryway of the front door, kind of looking in the back, sees like there's a kitchen back there.
Yeah.
But he noticed, because he saw the old woman up in the window, he's like, I got to go upstairs.
Got to go check that out. I got to go talk with her.
He's slowly walking up the stairs.
Slowly walking up the stairs. And then this is one of my favorite scenes in this movie.
Because at the overhead shot.
Oh, dude. You know what it is? It's two things for me. It's that overhead shot. Well, actually, it's probably more than two things. It's just a great shot. It's the overhead. It's the music that comes in. And, we see this figure coming at him.
Oh, but the door's starting to slowly open.
Yes. And just coming out of nowhere.
Oh, when he comes up to that top.
Yeah. And cuts his face. What do they call that shot as he's falling down? There's got to be a name for it. There's got to be a
name for it, but I don't know what it
is. Dude, I
I
love this shot. Yeah. I don't know how they do that, especially for 1960, but it's fucking freaky and awesome. And I just love it. It's this, because you feel for this guy who is just
falling backwards down the stairs.
Because, dude, if someone comes out and starts stabbing you and slashes you, not only, all of those things, of course, and the fact that it startled you and scared you and you're on stairs and you're falling back, it felt so real to me.
And of course, you have to admit, or you have to mention that all you see is dress and the shoes and the old hair up in a bun.
The old hair.
You never see the face.
You don't. And so we're still,
and then of course you see the knife go up and go down.
Yeah.
And what did that remind you of?
What?
When the camera pans to the knife and then.
Go ahead.
Halloween. When he's
killing
Judith Myers.
I'm sorry. Because I'm thinking, yes, totally. I'm thinking, because this is 1960, I'm like, well, what do you mean? Something before 1960?
Yeah, because
but
it's
totally Michael Myers.
Because you're focused on the knife going up in the sky, in the air.
Yeah.
And then he landed right on top of him. Yeah. And he's just slashing him.
Yeah.
And then we're cut to black on that. And then we're cut to Sam Loomis getting back with Lila.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I just talked to Arbor Gast and
he said an hour and it's been well over an hour.
Yeah.
Man. Like something's not right. We got to do something. And so at this point, Sam is like, I think, doesn't Sam go and get the sheriff involved? wakes the sheriff up.
Oh no, I want to say
I don't think Sam goes back to the. Does he go to the?
Yeah, he goes to the motel and he's shouting. He's like, Arbor Gast, Arbor Gast. He's like shouting for Arbor Gast.
Okay.
And then we pan to Norman at the swamp again with the
disposing of Arbor Gast.
Arbor Gast's car.
And he's definitely snacking on something. And that's right, because he hears Sam yelling this.
Yeah. And he's snacking on more. I don't know if it's peanuts, cashews, or pistachios. I need to look that up. But
it's interesting though.
But he's crunching on them.
But he's eating away like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like it means absolutely nothing. Like he's killed these people.
Yeah.
And it's not a big deal.
Nope.
At all.
At all.
I'm going to dispose of this. I'm going to snack on something. I'm a little hungry. Yeah, I got a Snickers bar, but I don't want to get grumpy, so I'm just going to, but that's it's crazy, and how he just nothing. It's nothing to him. It's nothing to him, and that's what's scary about this individual.
Well, because he's such a sociopath.
Yes,
he's disassociating his deeds with with reality.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're cut back to
is this where Sam and
Sam goes back to
Lila?
Lila's like, I couldn't find Arbor Gast there. I don't know what's going on. And
that's right. Yeah.
The motel was empty. And then at that point they go to the sheriff.
Yeah, wake the sheriff up in the middle of the night. This is Sheriff Al Chambers. I don't know. Maybe he just goes by Sheriff Chambers. He seemed
him and his wife.
Yeah, I mean the wife seemed very nice. He seemed kind of just old and crotchety a little bit, not very helpful.
Yeah, she was more help.
Yeah, give me the specifics. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I'm really. Then he makes a telephone call to Norman.
Yeah, talks to Norman.
Yeah, Norman's like, look,
I haven't seen anybody.
Yeah, so it's
I told Arbor Gast, and he left on his way. He left,
yeah, and it's a believable story.
Yeah, it is believable.
What's interesting though is when Lila makes a reference to something, and I can't remember the exact wording, but makes reference to a woman.
Because Lila says, "Oh yeah, Arbor Gast was going to question the old mother, or
something like that,
or the old woman." And it's like, "What old woman?"
And she says something like, "Well, Norman took a wife or something like that."
Yeah, did Norman take a wife? Yeah. No, for what I understand, it was maybe his mother.
Yeah, and then of course they know that.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh well, 10 years ago, I helped pick out his mother's dress for her burial."
Yeah, so we're starting to kind of
she's out there in that old cemetery out there. And
so we're starting to kind of, if we've never seen this before, we're like, okay, what's happening here?
Yeah.
What's going on?
So who's this woman killing?
Who's this woman, man? I mean, what's happening? She is dead, right? I mean, they buried her. So I don't know. And so
they come back.
They concoct
as a story of like they're a married couple, and he's on a business trip.
Yeah.
And
no luggage.
Yeah, can I go get your bags? Oh, no luggage. And Norman's like, that's odd.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Yeah.
And then I need a receipt and all these other, you're not going to take my money, I need a receipt and all these little things, and of course, we think Norman's, he's a little weary about this couple.
But because you notice everybody's kind of pushing him a little bit. Arbor Gast pushed him.
Yes.
And then with them, I need a receipt. And they're, they're kind of catching him a little bit, and they're pushing him.
Yeah.
And, I think it's cracking Norman.
It is.
All this little stuff is like mistrust with him is making him like, okay, I can get your receipt,
Yeah.
And then they was going to go grab a key, number one. And then he decided he retracted his hand. And then he gave them
number 10 or something.
Yeah, number 10, something far away.
Something like that.
Something far.
Yeah.
But Lila noticed that, and she's like, something weird about number 1. I'm going to go check it out.
Yeah.
And I guess they checked it out. Of course, there was no shower curtain, no replaced shower curtain. And then they found the little piece of paper in the toilet.
Yes.
With the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, look, did she say that's Marion's writing?
I don't know if she said that, but it had amounts on it.
Yeah.
$40,000.
Right.
So it that wasn't a coincidence.
No.
She definitely was here, all these things. And so, I mean, I think when it came to the handwriting, I think Arbor Gast earlier on compared her handwriting to the name she used when she signed into the book. But
right.
So the idea now is to distract Norman. That's Sam's job.
Yeah.
So Lila can get up to talk to the mom.
Yeah.
And
to find out what's going on.
And so, so Sam starts making kind of small talk, but then it becomes
kind of heated.
Confrontational. Like, yeah, $40,000, man. You could do a lot with that, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
And Norman, I don't know if Norman's really catching on at this point.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit for him to get it.
Yeah, and she's already up at the house and she's kind of looking around. She's looking everywhere. And then it's getting pretty heated between Norman and Sam. And then Norman notices, well, where's that woman that you came with?
Yeah, he knows now.
And then he's like, and then I think he hits him with a ashtray, didn't he?
I don't think it was an ashtray. It looked like a vase or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Vase. Okay.
Yeah, because to me, an ashtray, like, those wouldn't break like that.
Okay.
To me, it looked like a smaller vase. Something like that.
So he hit him on the head with a small vase while she's still going through the house. And I think she made her way down to the basement.
She started to, yes. And that's when Norman runs up and she sees him coming in. Oh, shit, what am I going to do? And so she starts to go down, and then, she gets down to the basement.
Yeah, and she's walking through the fruit cellar. Yeah,
and then she sees Mrs. Bates.
Yeah.
She sees a woman. She assumes it's Mrs. Bates, right?
Oh, we totally missed a part.
What did we forget?
We missed a part where Arbor Gast, so before they came there, we hear Mother, he's like, Mother, she's like, what, Norman? And he's like, Mother, people are coming. I got to put you in the basement.
Yes.
I got to put you in the basement.
That's right. Because he picks.
And she's like, you just think I'm an old fool. I can't walk myself. And he's like, no, Mother, that's not it at all. Yeah. And she's like.
She refuses.
Yeah, she refuses.
She's like, I'm not going down there again, because he's done this before.
Yeah, he's done it before where he's put her down in the fruit cellar.
That actually is an important scene.
Yeah. And so he's walking. We got the overhead shot and he's walking her.
Looks like he's carrying a woman.
He's carrying his mom down the stairs.
Right?
Yep.
It doesn't look look suspicious. I mean, really?
Yeah.
It just looks like he's carrying an old woman.
So that is the scene before Sam and Lila come to and do their,
Yeah, that's right. And so, she's down in the cellar, and there's a woman in the corner.
Yep.
Looks like she's sitting in a chair,
darkness.
A wheelchair. Yeah.
She turns on the light and she's like,
Mrs. Bates or something like that.
And then she goes to touch her shoulder.
And then she turns around.
And then the chair spins around.
I love this part. I mean, it's kind of cool.
And then you see Mrs. Bates, the corpse.
Would you, speaking of how, before we really dive into that, but we've talked about how all of these other movies have kind of taken from Hitchcock and Psycho. One of my favorite all-time endings, not my favorite horror movies, is Burnt Offerings.
Mm-hmm.
That ending scares the living hell out of me every single time. The hair always stands up when he goes up.
Oh, and
the husband.
And she's the old woman?
Yes, but does that kind of not remind you? I don't know. I mean,
a little bit.
I don't know. Maybe I'm way off, but it just made me think of that. I don't know. Anyways.
Oh, there's a movie that is made by William Freud, and it's 1980s Funeral Home.
Oh, Funeral Home, yeah.
And it's the actress that got killed in the very first victim of Happy Birthday to Me.
Okay.
So the one that was running through the cars, she was parked cars.
Yes, yeah.
So she's the main actress of this movie
in Funeral Home.
And she plays the granddaughter that's visiting her grandparents, but grandpa up and ran off with some woman.
Okay.
So spoiling the end of that movie.
I know we spoiled too.
Grandma's been talking in Grandpa's voice.
Oh, okay.
And then you find what happened to Grandpa because she was supposed to ran off with this woman.
Yeah.
And then she, there's, Grandpa looks just like Mrs. Bates in this movie.
Oh man, I love stuff like this, man. If you're seeing this for the first time in a movie theater in 1960, you're like, holy shit, your mind's blown, right? You're like, what the frick? I thought this woman was alive, and now she
freaks out and she screams and she hits the light. You notice that?
Yes.
So that's a very good cinematic effect. So the light is swinging back and forth. So in this dark cellar, the light is being cast and retracted on the walls. So it's almost like a strobe light effect.
Yeah.
But a lot slower. So you're getting light and you're getting darkness. You're getting light, you're getting darkness. And as she screams, her scream, she turns around, and what does she see?
Well, she sees Norman dressed up as his mother with a knife.
With the creepiest grin on his face, like Joker grin.
Dude, this is so scary. Like, I know it's coming. I've seen this many times, but it's just when the music kicks in and you see this figure, and it's so friggin' scary.
And it's the same music cue or similar music cue as the shower scene.
Yes. And that's why it just works so well.
Yeah.
Because I think originally Hitchcock didn't want any music in the shower scene. His idea was, I want this to be silent. Then he heard the music and he goes, yeah, we got to have it.
Oh, as soon as the shower, as soon as the shower curtain was rolled back, that's when the music kicks in.
So good, so powerful, so fitting for everything that's happening. And so as Norman, or really,
Mother. At this point, it's Mother.
Because it's really Mother at this point. It's Norman's body, but Norman is gone.
Yeah.
Mother has now taken over, and it's now essentially Mrs. Bates.
Mm-hmm.
And she's coming, or he's coming
with
after her. Yeah.
Was slashing away.
Yeah. And of course, this is when Sam rolls in.
He busts right behind Norman and grabs his arms.
Yeah.
And, and then Mother starts losing it on the ground.
So let me ask you this.
I want to say it's because he feels he's an old woman.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Because this is what I was going to talk to you about.
So yeah, he's not a strong man.
No,
he's
an old woman.
He's an old woman. So that's why he kind of cripples down.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like, a 20-something, 30-something man has all this strength. But
as soon as he got grabbed by a hulking man,
his mother, who's in 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I'm frail and I'm weak, and this is why I can be submitted so easily.
Right.
I never caught that until today, man. I never caught that until today.
That's why he's making
I was like, what the hell? Why
kind of goofy faces. And he's an old woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, man, so, we, through the whole movie, if you've never seen this, you're thinking, his mother's killing people, but then, okay, mother's dead. What the F? And then now it's him. And so, Mother he's basically taken over her personality. It used to be kind of almost a split, a 50-50.
Yeah.
10 years ago she had died, but we thought, okay, she just died.
No, he poisoned her and her lover.
Yeah. But I think the story was it was a murder-suicide.
Yeah.
Because she caught the lover cheating on her, so she poisoned him and killed herself. No, this was Norman killing both of them.
Yeah, Norman did.
He couldn't deal with Mother having any sort of,
another male,
because Norman was, in his eyes, he was everything to his mom, right?
Yeah,
and anyone that got in the way,
a boy's best friend is his mother.
Yeah, and so anyone that got in their way, in his way, he basically
he's the epitome of mama's boy.
Yeah, and got rid of them. And so we get this. We are now, towards the end here. We're at the. I'm gonna say this is the. Is this a precinct? What is? This?
Because we cut to black, and then now we're at the precinct,
and we have this room full of, it looks like you got some not police officers, but more so kind of the higher ups. Let's call them the chiefs or the captains.
Some detectives.
Yeah, and then we have
Lila and Sam sitting there,
and I don't. Yeah, and I don't. The sheriff's not here at this point.
No.
And we have.
Oh, I want to say he is part of that.
Was the doctor
or the sheriff?
Was the sheriff in there?
Yeah, I think Sheriff Chambers was in there.
He might have been in.
Yeah,
there. I think he was. And then we get Dr. Richmond coming in.
Okay.
And this, I thought this was going to be like a short little spiel, but it needed to be long.
A lot of people hate this scene because it's too much exposition and dialogue. But
I'm good with it.
I like it because it explains a lot.
I will tell you, I love the dialogue. The actor,
yeah,
he seemed like over the top at times during this.
Well, because he's of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be my only complaint with him. But he was great. I mean, he was great, but little over dramatic at times during this spiel.
Yeah.
He's telling everybody what's happening.
I like the remake's actor, which would be Robert Forrester.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he played that role of Dr. Richmond.
Yeah, yeah.
And the way he explained it, if you were to see that scene, you'd be like, damn, couldn't we like zap him back to 1960?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, he was good.
But yeah, I mean, do you want to jump in and tell the folks really, we don't have to go like way into depth on what happened, but I mean, I know we touched on it a little bit.
So yeah, we touched on the fact that, he poisoned his mother and her lover, and, they were buried and the whole town knew.
Yeah.
But he couldn't stand being alone, in that house by himself. So oftentimes he would, kind of entertain himself with, just talking in his mother's voice just for fun. And then he ended up like he felt the physical emptiness of her not being physically there.
Yeah.
So he went and dug up her body.
Yeah.
And then when that wasn't good enough, he started speaking for her.
Dressing up like her.
And then that eventually turned to dressing up like her because that wasn't even enough.
Yeah.
So
he basically became, for a long period of time, I don't know if it's the 10 years, but a long period of time, he was half Norman and half his mother.
Yeah.
And
he would speak for her.
Yeah. And any time, let's say he was attracted to a woman, mother would kick in.
Mother would kick in saying that she was a whore.
Yeah.
She's a whore, Norman.
Yeah. And
leave those dirty, filthy girls alone. Only a boy needs his mother.
And so mother would take over and dispose of anyone that maybe in a sense would take Norman away from her, right?
Right.
I mean, even though it's the same person,
exactly.
It's crazy, man. And we've seen so many movies like this, not like Psycho, but the split personality.
Mm-hmm.
High tension. High tension is a great example.
That is a great. And the number one homage to Psycho would be Dressed to Kill.
Yes, Dressed to yeah, that's true.
Because he got excited and Bobby took over.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was the movie? I can't think of it right now. With all the split personalities, where they're in that.
John Lithgow.
No, the one with it has Ray Liotta and it has John Cusack.
That's Identity.
Identity.
What a good movie.
I don't want to spoil that one for people because it's really not a horror. It's more like a
psychological thriller.
It's a great movie. If anyone hasn't seen that, check it out.
Check it out. We will definitely not spoil that movie, but
it reminds a little bit of that, right?
Well,
Kinda?
I would say 80% of that movie is with all those characters, and then the last percent of the movie is a different movie altogether.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's all we'll say.
Yeah, check that one out. But all these, all these different movies, they take these from Psycho, and
at the time, Psycho was made back in the early 60s. So this was in 1960, 63-ish. I'm really fumbling with the date, but William Castle, who was known as the Schlockmeister William Castle, that did, House on Haunted Hill and 13 Ghosts, and he had all these gimmicks that he would do, that they based John Goodman's character in Matinee on. So William Castle had a movie called Homicidal.
All right.
And Homicidal was a similar movie to Psycho because he saw Psycho and he's like, I could do that too on a budget.
Yeah.
And he ended up doing his movie, and it was similar.
It makes me wonder, like, we're sitting here and talking about this. Did Hitchcock really start? Because how many horror movies these days, and I hate to use the word steal, let's just call it borrow. Dude, there's so many thousands of horror movies that
tons of people are influenced by Hitchcock.
But I'm talking about like so everyone kind of along the way kind of took from Hitchcock, but then other directors and movies and studios kept taking this and stealing that, and not necessarily from Psycho, but a horror movie. We've talked about this. The slashers, they all borrow from each other, and
even like you guys did Fright Night. Fright Night is part Rear Window.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's
true,
Hitchcock,
right?
yeah.
It's totally, yeah.
It's Rear Window, which is like, oh my God, what's going on over there?
Yeah.
And of course, De Palma did it with Body Double.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was his. And then we've seen it with what was the new one with Shia LaBeouf? Or it's not new, but it's like 10 years old.
Oh God, I forgot that one. Shit. I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
It's like Suburbia.
Yes, I think it's something like that. Yeah.
Gosh, yeah. I can't remember the exact name of the movie.
Yeah,
but,
I can picture.
But they all borrow from Hitchcock.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hitchcock has
never
an idea.
really I never really sank in. I never really
Fright Night is Rear Window.
It really
with
is.
vampires.
With vampires. Cool vampires. But yeah, man, it's just but I mean, we really kind of touched on it. I mean, he eventually, as this played out, became all mother. Yeah. There was no Norman anymore. No. He's done lost it. And so that's what you get at the end of this movie is we see Norman, the man Norman. Yeah. But everything else is mother, man.
And I think it's funny that go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
Oh, I was just going to say that final shot. I was going to talk about that. Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
So the one of the detectives comes in, one of the police officers comes in and talks to the detective and says, she's cold. Can I grab a blanket for her?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, sure. Go ahead and grab a blanket. Okay. So he brings Norman, who's now mother, sitting in a room. And it looked like one of those double pane window rooms.
Kinda,
where you can, or what do they call it? One way.
One way. Yeah.
Yeah. One way window. And he's like, thank you, dear child, and he's covering up the blanket.
Yes, and we don't see that. We just see the guy go in and we hear the voice.
Oh my God, I forgot the biggest thing. Okay, so the start of the movie, when Marion and totally forgot about this. Yeah. So when Marion and Sam are in the hotel room together,
okay,
we see a fly.
Oh,
there's a fly that's on the window.
Oh, shit.
And we followed the fly as the fly came into the room, because the room was, how they focused onto the window of the room, and the fly came into the window and he's all flying in. So at the end of the movie,
I forgot about that.
He's covering up with the blanket, because mother's cold now.
Well, yeah.
And she's like saying, well, I couldn't have done those things. They're going to have to blame that on Norman. Yeah. I'm just an old woman, and I'm not doing verbatim, but I couldn't.
No, we don't see,
we don't see him talking. He's talking in his head.
Just so that listeners understand,
I couldn't harm anything. I'm so frail and old. As a matter of fact, and then we see the fly land on him.
Yes. On
his hand. I'm such a good person. I couldn't even harm a fly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even hurt that fly right there. Of course I wouldn't. And so then we zoom to Norman looking up from his eyes, and he looks creepy.
Yeah.
And then they superimpose mother's skeletal face on top of that.
That was great.
And that's probably one of the most beautiful freaking shots in horror movies.
It is, dude. It's awesome.
And then we pan to them pulling out cars out of probably Arbor Gast's car and Lila's car, or Marion's car.
Yeah.
They're pulling it out of the swamp.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they did. And then the doctors say, yeah, this wasn't a crime of passion. $40,000, all that money was still there.
Yeah, no,
he's like,
this is crazy.
This is just, this is mother being mother.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And that smile, that smirk.
Yeah.
We've seen that in so many movies.
Oh, absolutely.
Since then,
it's so iconic.
It is, man. It's awesome. It's just super powerful, and it just, yeah, it's a great ending, man.
This movie is just it's a movie that, as you can tell with my enthusiasm, it's an explosion of all these different elements. And God, I wish I could wrap my brain and put them in order. but they're just all over the place.
It's hard for us
Yeah.
to sit here and remember every single thing. It's okay if something comes to us as we're talking. We can go backwards because this is our podcast. We do what the hell we want. So, but it's just a brilliant movie, man. And again, like I was saying at the beginning of the episode, I mean, this is why it's a classic.
Oh yeah.
They don't just give the word classic to anything.
No, the way you frame that fly in the beginning to the fly at the end.
And, dude, I saw the beginning and the end, but I didn't put two and two together. So you bringing it up is great.
Oh my God, that's such
I love those little things.
Yes.
It's just a great movie. Anyone who hasn't seen it, we spoiled it for you. Sorry, but you got to check it out. I mean, like I said, I'm not a fan of black and white, but I mean, it's just such a good movie, and it just, oh man, I couldn't imagine it any other way.
Yeah.
And I know they redid it with Vince Vaughn, and I don't know why they redid it with Vince.
The funny thing is if this movie never existed, the Vince Vaughn movie would be a good movie.
Sure.
Would it be a great movie? They did do shot for shot with some of Gus Van Zant's little weird elements that he added to it.
Sure.
Like he added like Vince Vaughn masturbating while he's spying on Marion.
Yeah.
And that's obviously not in the original. He wasn't.
No.
But he's you could
I
tell
don't think they could do that in 1960.
No, but you could tell that that's what he's doing in 98. He's doing that. And some other little elements that he changed it up a little bit. And it's a good movie. If this movie didn't exist, it's a good movie. I don't ever think I would call that one even if this didn't exist. I don't think I'd call that a classic because it doesn't have the same beats. It doesn't hit the same beats, even though it's almost shot for shot, word for word, the same script. It's just not. Yeah, it just doesn't hit you. But I guess if like that movie Yesterday, if the Beatles never existed, would those songs still have the same impact like it did in that movie? I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
I haven't. I know the premise of it.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I want to check
you should
it out.
Watch it.
I have heard it's pretty good.
But it's a similar thing. You think about if Psycho never existed, would the song still have a great impact?
Yeah.
Would they hit people the same way?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, you don't know. You don't know because we have the original Psycho.
Yeah, we have
all the sequels.
The gold.
Yeah. And anything after is just, So, anyways, anything else we want to talk about?
Nothing else I can think of, man. I think
I think I got it. Just about everything, man. I mean,
this is great to commemorate this wonderful movie on this special day.
It is, man. 60 years.
Yeah,
I mean,
60 years to the day.
Is that crazy?
That is crazy.
That's a lot of years.
That is a lot of years. Well, funny thing is November, my sister celebrates her 60th birthday. So, yeah, she's almost as old as Psycho.
Oh my gosh, she's gonna kill you.
I know she is, but she won't listen to this. She doesn't.
No, she won't.
She's so horror.
That's okay.
She's a goody. Anyway,
well, I think that's it, man. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. Catch us next time. I think you and I are gonna do Night of the Demons.
Oh,
that's the next episode.
I think so. Yeah. Night of the Demons.
We'll do that one. That one's that's definitely not a classic, but it's a good 80s
romp.
Yeah, it's a good 80s romp. So anyways, everyone take care, stay safe. We'll check you next time. Thanks again for listening. Make sure you tell everyone about our Ear for Fear podcast. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Ear for Fear. You can also check out our website, earforfear.com. There you can keep up to date on news, events, and episodes. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. We hope you come back and get an earful.